Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be going through some of the weirdest differences between Minecraft for PC and Minecraft for console, because 4J Studios, the people porting the PC game to the console, generally 99% of the time they just port the feature over 100% exactly the same as it is on the PC. However, every now and then they make a change and they'll explain it to us. So they change the Ender Dragon fight to make it more exciting. They have hop in hop out multiplayer because that makes more sense to console, and you spawn with a map because, you know, maybe it helps you find your friends easier. There's stuff like that that makes sense, that the difference between the two games, but there's also a lot of changes that just don't make any sense at all, and I figured I'd go through some of those in today's video, because some of them make the PC version slightly better, and some of them make the console version slightly better, for reasons that really could just be copied across both. But yeah, first of all, I'd really appreciate a like on the video if you do like it, because it helps out the channel a lot, and lets me know you do like this particular video. But let's get straight into it already, shall we? So let's start by talking about the first key difference you'll see between the two, which is the menu screen. So they clearly went for the same menu screen look, you know, it's the slightly faded background in front, and then in front of that you've got your main options. But the key thing difference here is the fact that on the PC, when you go into any of these options, you get a different background, this kind of dirt thing, and on the console you don't. And you know, it's a tiny thing, but it's just like, so they were going for the same thing for the menu screen, but then every other screen they were like, it's fine, do whatever you want. So maybe that's what that is, but I'll leave that alone for now. But let's go into the first real feature difference between the two, which is actually to do with customized superflats. So this is something that only came to console in TU19, and it's something that's been on the PC for quite some time, and PC users have just learned to accept on the PC. If you want to customize it, you have to either, you know, copy paste their code from online, or you have to learn how to use this and be like, oh, I want to have Stronghold 1, or for instance, or, you know, customize the numbers like this, which is something you can entirely do. So we can be like, oh, I want 5 dirt, for instance, and it will actually do that. So we can see, use preset, boom, 5 dirt. But the thing is, on console, there is a GUI version of this that just makes so much more sense, because instead of having to go online and, you know, basically using one from online, you should be able to just do it from within the game. And you might be thinking, Toycat, that's development time to do something that we can just do online already. But the thing is, the customized world type, so if we go to customize, if we go to this, as you can see, it has all these settings and can be done within the game. And it just makes me question, like, okay then, so for one thing they're going to have this rule, for one thing they'll have another, except that's different to the console. It just makes no sense, because on the console you customize your custom superflat from the game, but you don't have customized. On the PC you customize your customized world from the game, but you don't have custom superflats with you get what I'm saying. It's confusing, and it confuses me anyway. So yeah, let's go back to custom superflats, shall we? Let's just, it doesn't really matter about the sequel, but Toycat in there anyway. And yeah, let's go into an actual game, and let's show you some of the in-game differences, because I mentioned the menu screen and some of the weird things like that. But also hardcore mode, by the way, but that kind of makes sense why it's not on console. But yeah, let's go through some of the other weird differences, which is the first one here. You'll notice as we get into the world, because we're in creative, is the fact that the creative inventory is entirely different. So obviously this makes sense again, because this is designed to be navigated with a mouse, so you can click straight from there to there, or from there to there, for instance, and therefore having 10, 5 at the top, 5 at the bottom does kind of make sense there. But the fact that it's 7 on console, you know, doesn't explain away all the things, because, you know, obviously they combine redstone transportation, they combine tools and combat, for instance, but it doesn't explain why some of the things are just in entirely separate places. So for instance, on the PC, if you go to brewing, that's where you'll find your golden carrot. There is no golden carrot in the food stuff, even though it's one of the best foods in the game. And you might be like, well, you know, it is used for brewing sometimes, but I mean, the idea that it's just there instead because it is used brewing sometimes versus being used as food, I don't know, maybe that's just a different priority. But there's also some things that are just like, well, there's no real arguing for this, it just is bizarre that it's 1-1-1. So for instance, if you go to decorations on the PC, you'll find the slime block here, but on the console, the slime block is in the building blocks. The same goes the other way. If you go to redstone, you'll find all the doors here, which to me just makes no sense. Like, I guess they can be activated with redstone, but so many other things can, and they're not going to necessarily count as a thing. So yeah, basically these blocks are building blocks on console, a lot more blocks are, and yeah, it's bizarre to me that some blocks count as different blocks on the PC and the console. You'd figure that's the sort of thing that could just be coordinated and make it so when you switch from one to the other, it'd be easier. Because for me, every now and then I get confused, because I'll be looking for, you know, let's say I want to look for obsidian, I'll be like, oh, well, I guess obsidian's one of the real ones, but, you know, if you want to look for specific blocks like any of these, they're going to be in one place on the PC and one place in the console that could be really easily avoided, but maybe it couldn't be that way. So the next thing up here is the search thing. So this is obviously something that makes way more sense on the PC, because there's more tabs to search through, and obviously you have a keyboard to search it with, but it is still, you know, very bizarre to me that there's no, you know, somewhat of a search key on the console for if you're really, really lost for something. But, you know, to me it seems more intuitive, so it doesn't seem necessary. But yeah, one of the bizarre differences. One of the other bizarre differences is if we create ourselves a Nev portal with this obsidian. Obviously, the Nev portal process is entirely the same. You know, if you're in creative, you'll go for instate, all that sort of stuff. But one of the bizarre things is if you have a superflat world on the PC and you go into your Nether, for some reason there is no way to customize how the Nether actually looks. And if we get in there, in a few seconds because we're downloading terrain apparently. If we actually get to the nether, as soon as we just get one chunk to generate, I have no idea why it's being so slow right now, by the way. I've never actually seen Minecraft take this long to generate nether. But yeah, so now we're actually here. You can see the nether, even though we're playing on a custom super flat, the nether is entirely, you know, like it's entirely just regular. And it's like, so we're playing custom super flat till we get to the nether. I don't know, it's just one of those bizarre differences where it's like, on the console, they decided to make it flat. Why didn't they ever change that over to the PC? Like, to me, it makes sense. And one of the other bizarre differences is neither of them have the have the end being flat, which you'd figure would make at least some amount of sense. So yeah, bizarre difference. The nether's never super flat on the PC, and it is on the console. Again, I feel like the super flat version just makes more sense, but maybe that's just me being a console player. So next up, we have the bottom of the screen. You've noticed this already probably. On the PC, the hotbar is way down there. So this is the easiest way for a lot of people to actually tell whether you're playing on the PC or on the console, because one of the key differences in everyday gameplay, you know, there's not much in just looking at the game, like, yeah, this looks the same. But the thing is, if you look at the hotbar, it's literally at the very bottom of the screen on the PC. Also, it's generally smaller than you can actually on the console. And you might question exactly why this is. And this is one of those things I did find out recently, or I have a decent theory as to why. Because on the console, every single game to pass certification has to have a safe area around the edge of the screen. So anything, you know, like over here, you can see that hopefully, like up there, that could be cut off by the user's screen. So to stop that, they made it so every important element you need to be able to see can't be cut off in that way. On the PC, generally speaking, you're not playing on a 12-year-old plasma TV that cuts off some of your screen, so they just put it there. But it still is bizarre to me that there is no option to move it up on the PC, because you might have a monitor which does have, you know, overscan and cuts off some of your screen. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's still the sort of thing you should have an option for, and especially given that the options menu on PC does have so much more going for it. So, you know, if you look in here, you see stuff like just way more options, basically. Obviously, that makes sense because video settings don't make sense in console. One of the things that is very bizarre is the fact that if you go to music and sounds, on the PC, you get full access to everything, whereas on the console, you just get 2 bars. Again, it's one of those things that if they're porting over every feature from the PC, and they port over a lot of things that no one notices, things that people do notice, such as all these different noises, didn't get ported. It's just very bizarre to me. So yeah, different settings on PC and console, including fully remappable controls, which hopefully this is a thing of the past that at some point that, you know, they're only fully remappable on PC. But yeah, they need to be fully remappable on console at some point, because there are just buttons we don't have access to right now on the console that the PC just does. So yeah, PC does music and sounds really good, as well as all these settings in general. I don't know why they need to have such different menus and why they can't have some of those settings. Obviously, graphics options can't come to the console, but stuff like music sounds, that seems like something that could be doable. But maybe that's just me being me. So besides this, there's also a bunch of other weird changes, and the second weirdest one here, because we're coming clear to the end here, is the fact that on the PC, you only find the dead bush in the creative inventory. If you look for the shrub, which is the other dead bush looking block, you actually cannot find it because it is not its own block. That's right. So the dead bush, which is the one that goes on sand, by the way, so let's get some sand out. The dead bush is, the exact same as the shrub, but it only spawns in deserts. If you want to find the shrub, though, you cannot find it in the creative inventory. You have to give it to yourself with commands, because on the PC, for some bizarre technicality reason, the shrub actually counts as some tall grass. It counts as a variation on this grass right here, which is just very, very bizarre to me. So if you want to find, shrubs on the, if you want to have, these things on grass on the PC, you actually have to give yourself a command, or you have to alter this in the game code. And it's just very bizarre to me. Like, you could just add the shrub. It would make more sense, but they just haven't. And yeah, I don't understand that entirely. No shrub on the PC in creative, but is on the console. I don't know. But yeah, let's move on to the last one here. And this is the one that I guess is the weirdest to me because of how the conversation must have gone down, because they must have considered it. But on the console, you can stack cakes up to 64. But here's me shift-clicking cake right now, and then trying to add enough cakes. But as you can see, it does not work. So one of the interesting little things is on the PC, cake does not stack, but on console it does. And basically, this must have been a really interesting conversation, because they must have all been sat around the desk like, oh, I made cake stack by accident. They're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work like that on the PC. And they're just like, so what? We'll make it stack on the console or something. And it's just one of those things that's never been changed. Although you can literally stack cake on the PC like so, you cannot stack cake like in your inventory on the PC, which means that on the console it's actually a much better food, and it's just one of those very bizarre gameplay differences that technically is a balancing change because it makes cake way better on console, and it just isn't on the PC and is on the console for reasons that will never be explained. It's just one of those differences that are differences. Obviously, this isn't every single difference between the PC and the console. There is a lot of those, but these are some of the weirder ones that are hard to explain away, by just saying, oh, they want this for that reason or that for that reason, because they make sense if they're on both consoles. Anyway, I hope you did all enjoy this video. I hope it did help you out in some some way. If you did like the video, please do like it and let me know. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Let me know in the comments down below why you think any of these will be different, or if you think that it's good that there's just bizarre differences like this, or if you prefer if, like, you know, we had the music options on console, or if the PC had the super flat that actually made sense. Let me know with the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day, everybody, and goodbye.